The idea is to create a farm that brings people from all kinds of backgrounds to a place where they can use direct learning and direct application of food production and housing production skills to improve the base and the foundations of their community. We need each other to make anything happen in this world. We almost can't do it in silos. And there goes one of my roosters telling me it's time to be quiet. I'm Rohn Amegatcher. I am the founder of Log Hollow Farms and York College of Agriculture and Technology. I started this place in 2012 with the idea of transitioning it ultimately to a college, to be able to create access for people from underserved communities that don't have an opportunity to study or be around a place like this. All right, here you go, lady. Whoops, that's called a bank shot. And over the 10 years, I have basically focused on buying the land, creating the farm, creating the infrastructure to, as a legacy project, slowly move this place from doing little workshops to having actual college courses to develop an accreditation process and getting it to the point where we actually have, what amounts to the first historically black college or university here on the West Coast, and specifically here in the Pacific Northwest. Log Hollow is located perfectly between Seattle and Portland. It is in a place that has a lot of natural resources, a lot of natural talent to teach students here, and also is a place where, because of the sparse population of the county, it has room to grow and room to spread out. Once in my lifetime, I was a planning commissioner. And this is some of the kind of work we did. This is downtown Woodinville, the master plan for it. It's amazing how when you learn master planning and the whole process, whatever it is, how it helps you to do a project like this. It literally, because you're building like a little village. And so it helps you just like translate, that and, having a background in construction and real estate development and whatnot, you kind of puzzle it all together. But eventually you get to, 52 years old and you realize, my goodness, I've had a 30 some odd year life that prepares me to create a farm and then go through that pivot of turning the farm into a college. It's like one of these things you realize you don't think you have the skills until you start doing it. The ways that our society is actually built, everything from road building to food and housing serve as the backbone of a lot of our society, and they feed into a lot of places. Row crops don't get there by themselves. There's irrigation systems that have to be put together, designed, fluid dynamics. There's a lot of things that can be taught in that, process. And what I try to do is to use this place as a laboratory, fabrication lab, as well as just a skills academy and a makerspace to introduce those things, to identify those that are really, interested in it and good at it, and then funnel them into the right direction to create a, career of it. That's Log Hollow and York College in a nutshell. But let's head over to the other side, go feed the cows, because they need breakfast. Hey, buddy. How are you? You're wondering who that is? Look at his tail all puffed, wondering who you guys are. Hi, baby boy. You want to go with us? Mm-hmm. When you see my horse, you'll laugh, because I always say Ash looks like me. My horse looks more like me. I get up every day and I do this twice a day to go feed the horses, and I'm by myself and I don't think anything of it. And people come here at different times. It's still busy even in this pandemic period because it's a isolated place people can come to. We get a lot of doctors and nurses and stuff that come out here and they come out here and they just kick it. You start to realize that space is a luxury we haven't really given ourselves. See what I mean? See, I told you. Yeah. Hi, buddy. How you doing? Brist. Brist is my boy. Yes, you are. And then this is Ryo. Hi, Ryo. Hi, my boy. You guys ready for breakfast? They will let me ride on him with him on my lap.
Really, bareback?
Yeah, the two of us on him. Wow. When I started, this whole place was just a forest, and I've since cleared it. So let me tell you a quick story that is actually very relevant. So I don't know, that I keep using the name York College of Ag and Technology. People say to me, where do you get the name York from? York was the slave of William Clark, of Lewis and Clark. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, they come out on this expedition. They get to pick, a team of, I'm going to put it in modern terms. If you think about the team of people that Lewis and Clark picked to go on this expedition with, they were like the Marines or the SEALs of their age. Now imagine you get a group of SEALs or Marines together and you add to them one significant person. This badass slave named York, whose skill set is so diverse and his ability to do things, basically witnessed by William Clark. He had been his lifelong slave. They were children together. And basically, York had the skill set that made him, I jokingly call him the water carrier in the engine room of the expedition. If it wasn't for him, that expedition would not have made it. People don't think of York as an explorer, right? But when I moved out here, 2012, came out here, it was bare land. This fits what you were asking of. I've been here 8 years, and me talking about what the place was like. Over the course of the 8 years of trying to settle this land, how hard it's been dealing with floods, working in the forest, trying to clear the ground with horses and whatnot because I didn't have the money initially, makes you appreciate what somebody like York had to go through on that expedition, especially being the lowest man on the totem pole, but also the one that got sent out first to deal with a lot of things, whose life experience as well as hand skills speaks, and whose spirit and insight speaks to the kind of things we're trying to teach here. York, he was perfect. I can't explain to you why it's so important, the benefits of learning from each other. But when we do, you can see it. It's one of those things that's really hard to do. The richness of all of our stories, the technologies that are hidden in our experiences, the things we can benefit from. Talent is not distributed unevenly. It's access and the opportunity to express it. We have done a poor job of giving each other the pathways to express ourselves. And we have made certain things look exclusive. It's the iceberg thing, I guess, right? See the 10%, but look. Because there's a lot of importance happening underneath and we can all learn from each other, we can all share and so forth, so on. Enough out of me. Let me finish this and then let's haul ourselves back to the other side of the property.
What is that?
There's fish in there, fish food.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. That's how you organically keep mosquitoes out of your stock tanks. Otherwise, they live and breed in there. I call this area Ashland after my cat because he literally ranges in this area. He deals with the deer and the elk and the black bear that lives here. So as you walk through here, you'll find beds like this. Haskaps, blueberries, raspberries. It doesn't make sense for me to start something that I can't probably maintain, but what I can do is do the things that are, they're annuals. I put the haskaps in, I establish them, I do the right wood chipping. They need to be, maintained a little bit, but at least they're here, they're starting to grow. I water them, I keep them going. And again, when I identify the right people that want to come in and help, I can just turn this over and say, make a go of it. But until now, I'm more focused on the infrastructure, building the place in and getting all the parts and pieces together. My blueberries are very good. Too bad there's only one of them on this guy.
That's all right.
This was the first deck I built. I built this one here because across the way are where a lot of the beaver lodges are located. And so in the evening, I'm able to sit here and just watch them come out. Everybody says, oh, it looks totally up in the air. I'm like, no, I built it so that when you sit in it, it levels. We think of tributary systems to a river or whatever it is, and we don't appreciate how much the tributary system handles the backflow of water. And a lot of people come into a property and they start messing around with the movement of water along the ground, and they don't appreciate some of the larger, let's call it 500-year, 1,000-year events that these need to be maintained for. This is one of my first bridges I built. I built this thing by hand. It took me like 600 and something wheelbarrow loads of dirt from a pit over there to build the approach and then the landing over there. If the floodwaters get super high, it can come up above these guys. They can float up above it and just kind of move out of the way. I can reclaim it later, but what I don't want to do is impair the ability of any floodwaters to move through here. You know, the thing that uses these creeks more than anything else? River otters, beavers, all those little creatures, you know, deer, bear, elk, you name it, they use them as transit ways. You know, either they're crossing them somewhere, or they're passing them through it, or they're using it as a shortcut. And when you start studying the habitats, you start to see how they're all linked together and how they use this stuff, and you start to appreciate going, oh, I won't mess with things. Initially, when I first got here, I had the battle with the beavers, because I heard all these stories about how they'll eat things down, whatever. What I didn't appreciate is that the beavers have been here for thousands of years. And what I see is the balance of what is left and what they do. They are not going to destroy the forest till there's nothing left. They will have nothing to live. The forest replenishes itself. This one tree that came down has launched this new start, these new starts that have been nibbled by the deer. You know, the deer need these young soft shoots, especially their new young that are being born. You know, it's all kind of this beautiful cycle that if we just step back and realize the beaver are not our enemies. They're actually helping to groom the forest. It's like everything seems to want to grow, and the only thing that, you know, gets in its way, it's us.
Yeah.
This is the amphitheater that I'm working on. It's one of my little outdoor spaces. I'm changing out the deck this year. That's why it's all taken apart. It used to have just a flat deck with no, it wasn't pressure treated, but we've gotten rid of all of that. In fact, it's sitting out there. It's difficult to be sustainable if you don't understand the environment you're in. I am not so concerned about, you know, one part as I'm concerned about all 7 layers of the forest, from, you know, the mycelium all the way to the crown. The first priority I give to the system is those species that will sustain the system. And if I can then add on a layer of things that I believe will support the larger ecosystem and help to address, you know, climate change and all those things, you know, growing more of a forest as opposed to cutting everything down and having big, wide open areas, using meadows instead of, again, clearing everything down. Because if you don't manage your tree species in the forest, when climate change happens, these are your main factories for exchanging, you know, gases, you know, and you have to manage that system. So we live very far away from the store, and there are a lot of families that end up in need. Usually it's in the wintertime. And we keep about 20 cords of firewood up front so they can help themselves to firewood, and they can grab a box and help themselves to, you know, whatever we are storing in here. It sounds silly, but the drive from PL to Walmart is round trip. It's about 50 miles. If you are a person who, maybe your car doesn't take a lot of gas, but you got like $5 for gas. The difference between coming only 10 miles and then 10 miles back home versus going 50 miles or 25 miles and then another 25 miles back home starts to make a huge difference. Again, this comes from first settling here and realizing how isolated and alone I was originally, and me having needs and not, you know, having a quick solution, and realizing, you know, you have a responsibility to your wider community around you to maintain things like this if you can afford it. And, you know, it's people say to me, well, what do you need, whatever it is? I'm like, you know what, bring me some canned goods. I'll throw it in the butter shed. You know, and it works, it helps. Let me put a concept to you, right? So I'm starting this college in the middle of rural America, right? In Lewis County, right? One of the whitest counties in the state. If this college succeeds, a lot of the skill set that will be the teachers here and such will come from the same surrounding community where we have all this hand skill glut right? The people here that know how to do things that are perfect teachers for a place like this. I believe this place economically could have the kind of impact to their lives that they've been looking for a long time, but they don't know what kind of package is coming in. But at the same time, those are the same people that are going to walk by here and say crap to me like, back when I was growing up, we didn't used to sell to coloreds like you. What am I supposed to do with that? Only to think about the fact that, yeah, but your grandson is going to enjoy having a job here where he doesn't have to drive 100 miles and he can be doing what he grew up learning to do, right? If he's teaching other people how to use chainsaws and how to repair excavators and how to, position an excavator on a steep slope in order to, when you're teaching them those skills that you can't learn, but having that machine at your hand every day, growing up in that environment, and you're earning a good income for it, these guys here, whether they like it or not, can help transfer some of that knowledge, and they can be well compensated for it. And if I can raise the money to build the place, we can find a way to bring those two places together to actually improve all of our lot. My grandfather was a judge, but he also wrote Ghana's Declaration of Independence. He also did a lot of work with a lot of other countries around Africa that were coming into their independence. He helped do a lot of advisory work. And in doing that work, he saw that a lot of the places that he had helped create and bring into independence, when he went back to look at those places, visit those places, he saw that there were fundamental things that were missing from those societies, that all that creation of society had not helped them build places where people could go to learn the things they needed to actually create those countries, to build them from the roots up. That, in essence, was the influence that always sat in the back of my head as I went through my youth. I came here when I was 11, started in Virginia, then ended up in the West Coast. And as I came up, I looked at, the concrete jungle, as I call it, inner city world, where I went to high school. And I looked at what was missing there. And as I went forward into my life, I I had a real estate development company back around, let's just say 2008, when the recession hit. And I did a lot of land development, converting condos to, converting apartments to condos, building retail stores, you name it. So I had this background of building and creating things. And then October 1st, 2010, I was minding my own business. This is about 2 years after Obama had been elected. For lack of a better term, a white supremacist came after me, tried to kill me, punctured my lungs 3 times and my liver 7 times, tried to disembowel me, through the whole crazy fight of it, trying to, go into a hospital, try to, get better. It took a long time to get better from the thing, over 6 months. And when I recovered, part of the issue I had was I was trying to find a place to go where I could find some peace of mind and just sort of sort myself out. What was I going to do with the rest of my life? This thing had happened where I'd almost died, this hate crime. I was having crisis of confidence. Who could I trust? Who could I not trust? It's just all this craziness. And I took everything I had in the city. I got rid of it, meaning sold it off. And I went looking for land, and I found this place. And I always had the idea, coming in from my grandfather's, impression and upbringing, that he, or what he instilled in us as we came up and through our upbringing. I decided, I needed to have a place, much like he saw. I need to have a place where youth and young people could come to one, have things demystified for them, but also to possibly meet people that they normally wouldn't get to meet, to try to demystify some of the things that cause us to not like each other. We currently live in a racial justice time, but also a social justice time in terms of a lot of these things that we're looking for solutions for. Log was created to be that vehicle that helps, answer some of those questions, to create a different skill set and to provide answers that are born out of shared experiences. And that pretty much is Log Hollow as it shifts into York College, and that's the concept. We need each other to make anything happen in this world. We almost can't do it in silos. And there goes one of my roosters telling me it's time to be quiet.
I think we should end there. That's about perfect.
I think that's good.
If there's anything else you'd like to add, that's all I got.
Just thank you for your interest. And, Yeah, thank you for your interest. And you know what? The energy of building this college begins and ends with people being interested like you. So thank you.
Yeah.